And what is up, everybody? To the U Sports Open Dialogue as we get ready to unveil this great show that we're going to create in this great community. I'm Tony Cotillo. As always, appreciate all the comments, appreciate all the interaction, and while we're planning this thing out and up to this specific point, when specific articles really hit home for me when I see them. Because if you don't know, I am in the media and I do get a lot of different media thrown my way. And to be honest with you, these topics right here has really elevated a lot of those messages that I have received, and it's been amazing. It really has. And tonight, I guess I could say, with me, coming from because I am still coaching, coming from a coaches meeting, and nothing bad, nothing negative, to be honest with you, but just fueling the mindset, right? Fueling the mindset and knowing that, mental health is such a huge issue because we're in tryout season, right? We're in tryout season. And my man Adam, what's going on, buddy? As always. Adam, stay tuned later on. I'll be dropping back on here, talk about Saquon and the birds at about 11 o'clock. Because I gotta educate the uneducated people that are on Facebook that want to talk about things they don't know nothing about. But I'll keep that jigsaw side for sports later. But speaking about the tryout season, I brought this to light well years ago when it completely changed, when everything has evolved, on so many different levels, right? The politics of the game, the you know every the politics of tryouts have become so monotonous, and honestly it has been such a game that has turned ugly. It really has. And it's turned ugly because now that there's all these rules put into play, and you're not allowed to talk to this person, not allowed to talk to this person, and it's almost like EPYSA has to, like in soccer, put like their own tampering rules in, like a legal tampering period, like the NFL does. I mean, it's become that crazy, right? It's become that crazy. People, you're not allowed to campaign for other players, you're not allowed to talk to other clubs. I mean, just your rights as a player and as a parent. I just don't understand, how we continue to just grab them and take hold of them and not allow them to use them. And speaking of rights, I came across a story and I want to share it with everybody. It happened in Illinois. The Illinois Supreme Court upholds the rights of athletes with disabilities. Now, this is a pretty interesting story, and whether you're watching this now or whether you're watching this tomorrow, watch this on replay. This is one of these stories. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be telling a lot of stories, own personal experiences from myself, from current athletes, from former athletes, from children, from coaches, from parents. But there's going to be times where I come across these stories that I think could kind of go either way. And I want to have an educated conversation. Okay. So listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to be a hallway monitor, right? So if you're going to be a keyboard warrior and you're going to be a moron, do me a favor, get off the street. Okay. I want to have an educated discussion. So when I bring these things up and I bring these things to light, I much would love the audience, right? The audience, the community to put in their words and what their opinions are. And please understand something. This is going to be a no judgment zone. Okay. If you start to judge somebody within the community, now we're going to judge a whole lot of people outside the community. Okay. But if you want to judge somebody in the community based on their opinions, then you're going to get booted. It's simple as that. Friend, not a friend, I really don't care, because I want people to understand, you know, how to bank opinions off of each other. One of the biggest things I pride myself on, when I talk sports, when I talk PR, when I talk media, when I talk marketing, I never say somebody is 100% wrong. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. Yes, I may not agree, but that's okay. Like, having opinions is what makes the world so great. Like, if everybody thought the same way and agreed with the same thing, man, it'd be a freaking boring ass world. Okay. So I want this to be a place to where we could talk amongst each other, right? like where we talked a bunch amongst each other. That's what I want. That's what I want to do, and I want to bring this up this topic of Illinois. My man Nicky Nuts second, and listen, I will answer questions too. My man Adam, this is a great question, man. It's a I never man. What's the best group of kids you ever coached? Wow, that's that's deep, man. That's deep, Adam. I gotta tell you, um, and I'm sorry, I'm not. And again, first of all, let me say this, okay? I love every team that I've coached. I truly adored. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I truly adored, because I've been lucky to where most of the kids that I've coached, I've been with for a long period of time. I wasn't a team jumper. I wasn't a coach jumper. I didn't go to different organizations. I did. That's not what I did. If I went to a different organization, that was, it was either for the betterment of the kids, my entire team, not just one individual. But I will say, man, and I will say, there's nothing like coaching softball, man. Like I have to tell you that. I loved coaching my girls. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I'll tell you a perfect example. I'm gonna tell you the difference between boys and girls. Okay. And again, check in, chime in here, now, later. Again, this is an open dialogue, right? If somebody asks a question, I'm gonna try to answer. I'm gonna get into the rights of the athletes with disabilities, the huge support, a huge Supreme Court ruling that just came down the other day. I'll share the article, show you it, and I'll ask your opinion. But the difference between girls and boys, which was great, is I tell this story and I have the videos and I will post them eventually. you know, Softball for me was such an enjoyment because I say it all the time. Boys are great, but coaching young girls and watching them grow up and watching their demeanor. I don't know if it's because I have a daughter, if I resonated with them so much, but they were just a fantastic group to coach, man, from young to old. When I started from an in-house team and went to suburban travel and went to a tournament team. Every single one that I coached, man, they were fantastic. I, still talk to some of them today, still see them today. I don't want to put her full name out there, but shout out to one of the girls, Mackenzie, that I get to watch. That was a warrior for us on the mound, and now I'm watching her sell homes and being a fantastic realtor and just living life and growing up, man. And that's what it's all about. But the funny thing is, it's as speaking to Mackenzie and speaking of that Hawk team that I helped coach. I wasn't the head coach. I was the assistant coach, but it was a fantastic time for me was when we actually went to nationals and it rained ungodly, like legitimately. It was to the point where they couldn't play, and we're in Ocean City, Maryland. We're in basically this rundown kind of complex. There was like four complexes, right? And you bounce back and forth. And we unfortunately one day got the bad one. It was just, it was run down. It happens. But the funny thing was, if it's pouring and when the rain's over and you've coached boys, usually you're chasing these idiots around. I love my boys, but goddamn, man, they don't sit still. They're a pain in the ass. They're running like they don't know what to do with themselves. They're running around, smacking each other in the head, trying to throw rocks across the room. Like it's just like, oh my God, like I can't take it, right? But the girls are so different. And I bring this story up because it fascinated me. Now, when we got this rain delay, the cool part about it was, number one, you have teams from all over, teams that never met each other. 8 teams, okay? 8 teams, different nationalities, different cultures, everything. And again, you saw what happened to LSU in South Carolina, right? You saw the competitiveness from them from those girls, man. Girls got that drive too. But to see what happened, so the rain stopped, but obviously when the rain stops, they got to break out the kitty litter, they got to break out the diamond dry, they got to get out there as much as they can. God bless those damn that field crew, man. I mean, they had a hell of a job getting that field ready, but it took hours, man. It took hours. No food trucks, there was nothing around. So instead of killing each other like the boys would do, what do the girls do? They start line dancing. And literally, I have probably about 5 videos that I'll never get rid of on my phone where all all 8 teams, probably about 200 girls, all line dancing, cheering each other on, high fiving one another. Girls that felt embarrassed and want to dance, pulling them out there. Everybody having a great time. That was probably, Adam, one of my defining moments as a coach. Just to see, wow, here's a group of 14, 15-year-old girls from all different nationalities all over the world, just coming together and enjoying themselves and smiling and forgetting all the intensified action for a half hour and just having a great time. And that was one of my defining moments. I really, really loved it. And I have those videos, and I can't wait to show them because it was pretty cool, man. It really was. And it was something I'll never forget. It really was. And I got plenty of those stories. Adam, thanks for bringing it out. I appreciate it. But I want to get to this this Illinois Supreme Court story. Now I'm going to share my screen. So just so you guys can see this. And I look for these things because I want to share them because I think they're pretty important, right? Especially when it comes to a youth health basis. Now, this is a story where the Supreme Court upholds the rights of athletes with disabilities. It says a victory. And I want to ask everybody, is this a victory? Now, this goes back years. This just got determined. This goes back to 2019. Okay. It says in the fall of 2019, Morgan Orso was kicked out of her club hockey team when she disclosed, this is very important, when she disclosed to her coach that she had anxiety and depression. Now, even though her doctors and parents wanted her to keep playing hockey, the team sent her away. And so, in their words, she was back to being the positive, happy, smiling kid that we all know she is. Now, the problem with this from the Morgan perspective was they say mental health is so important to athletes and youth everywhere. The court saw that kids should not be removed from sports teams because they have depression or anxiety. They need the support from their coaches during tough times, and they should not be singled out and sent away. That's a powerful statement. Okay. And I'm going to highlight this and put this in because I want to talk about some of these things. That is an absolute powerful statement. Let me put this up on a thing right here because this is a pretty powerful, and I want to talk about this for a reason. Okay. Now let's continue with this story. It says the team argued that it did not have to follow the Illinois Human Rights Act because they did not own the ice arena where the team practices, and Morgan was only barred from part of the facility. Luckily, the court rejected that argument. Now, Morgan's attorney says the following: the court recognized that sports teams and coaches are not above the law. In Illinois, the law does not tolerate discrimination in any public place, including at an ice rink, sports facility, or on the field. Out of this terrible experience, Morgan has been a fierce advocate for mental health awareness. She has received support from Same Here founder Eric Cusson and former NHL player Rob Schremp, advocates for the Same Here global mental health movement. She also shared her story on Our Turn Talk podcast and was featured in a documentary film from the same group. Today's ruling sends a clear message. Discrimination has no place in our society, especially not youth sports programs. By upholding the full and equal enjoyment of facilities for all athletes, regardless of disability, the court reaffirms the importance of inclusivity and fairness. Now, the reason why I read this story is because we will look at this so many different ways. And this is why I want to bring it up. Okay. So this statement right here to me, players need to support from their coaches during tough times. They should not be singled out and sent away. I'll think about that. The reason why I want you to think about it, it's very powerful because it can mean so many different things. What if, from the mental health aspect, right? What if you're sending this kid away and he doesn't have a support staff at home? What if he doesn't have anybody to turn to? You're basically giving him, you're basically taking away his or her outlet. That's extremely important. Extremely important. That you we can't do that. And I'm a big proponent of this decision. I'm a big proponent of this decision. That who is a state or an organization, who are they to turn a kid away and say they're not happy enough to play on our team? What if that's the only place that maybe their happiness resides in themselves? Maybe they need their teammates, they need their coach, they need just that 2 hours to get away. And you take that from them. Not only that, but what about the adverse effect that you bring on these children that you send away? That you send away. Listen, there's no mistake about this. You guys and girls have read my story about what happened to me at William Tennant this year. It's no secret. It's no secret. And I'm going to continue to go and continue to talk about that. But that's why I say this. Your players need support from their coaches during tough times. What about if the tough time is if they get cut? What about the tough time is they're going through a slump? Like, this is who you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to throw them away. You're not supposed to take that player and throw him away off your program because he didn't smile, because she all of a sudden wasn't cheery. And that's what kills you. And that's why I like this story. Good for them. Good for them. Good for that family. Good for Morgan is standing up, in my opinion. Okay. And saying, no, 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 no. Okay. This is my escape room. This is where I need to be. Who are you to tell me I can't be there? So I listen, I applaud her because here's the thing. If you're going through it, imagine that 2019, 4 years that she had to go through trials and tribulations about this same perspective, still going through this unbelievable health awareness journey. My man, Nikki Nutt's checking in. And again, I'm going to be fully honest. This is what's great about this. Okay. I'm not going to get in a full story, but Nick has gone through a lot. Nick is going through a lot, man. Him and his son have gone through a lot. Okay. And we don't need to get into it, but he says, look at what my son and what he has to go through, right? Well, Dylan's was always at behind. He always wanted to be involved in sports with his friends. That's why they do sports to escape. Exactly. Just wants to be involved, man. Just wants to be involved. He wants to be part of the team. And again, like, why is that? Why should we give the ability for that to not happen, into the decision holders of politics? Like that, we can't allow that to happen. So again, this Illinois Supreme Court upholds the rights of athletes with disabilities. The disability meaning mental health. And again, I will put this story in the comments. You check this out, man. This is a great story. When you get time, if you can check this story out, you can read it in its entirety. I have no allegiance to it whatsoever. I'm going to be honest, but I think it was a great story because I say it. We're in tryout season. We're in tryout season. For soccer, I can tell you that right now. And tryout season's tough, man. On the mental psyche, it's really tough for these kids because, I think there's a lot that people don't really see and don't understand, right? You have to think about what goes through the mind of an athlete when, you're in that kind of setting. I don't care if you're young or old. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that if you're walking onto a field and you're trying to do a tryout and there is a team that's already stacked and there's 40 other kids trying out, you're already feeling behind the eight ball. You're already feeling behind the eight ball. So your mental capacity is already taking a hit. So if you're not welcomed, to that tryout with open arms, you might as well just forget it. It's over. It's over. And that's the sad part. I'll say this again, and it's not the listen, this is not to smack Tony on the back. This is not to say that, Tony's great or anything like that. All I'm telling you is the way I treated things. Again, I would not be doing this if I couldn't give you personal accounts. This is the personal accounts of a coach and what I feel. And we're going to have more coaches on here. Okay. We're going to have coaches, young, old. I cannot wait, man. I cannot wait to talk to some of these coaches. It's going to be fantastic. But I prided myself on one thing. When we had tryouts, the first thing I told my kids is make them feel at home. They already feel awkward, man. They already feel awkward. They're from another township. They may have played for another team. There's so many, steps of awkwardness, so to speak, that these kids have to deal with. And again, we're dealing with kids, man. Like, can we stop treating kids, at 10, 11, 12 years old as these grown adults? Like, they're going through so much. So we never had to go through half of this stuff in our day and age with social media. It is an absolute bombshell, man. It's a bombshell. So you really have to think about what they're going through. And again, that's why I bring up the mental health aspect so much, because it's so damn true. And, if you want to revert back to, when Adam had asked me, what was my favorite team to coach? And I mentioned one of the girls' teams that I was lucky enough to be involved with. And I say that because you also have to understand, if you're going to coach females, I say this with all due respect, and my daughter will tell you, and any of their kids will tell you, they are a different animal. And what I mean by that is, listen, I'm going to tell my kids, my boys, I'm going to kick them straight in their ass. I'm going to push them around. I'm going to get nose to nose. I'm going to get in their face, because guess what? They need a little tough love every now and then, right? I'll never be I'll never be abusive from a physical standpoint, but I will get in their ass. They will know. They will know. I have thrown plenty of kids off that field for acting like an idiot. Okay. But when again, you're coaching girls, you got to tone it down a little bit. And you may have to tone it down a lot, but you have to see it, right? If you're going hard into a young lady, you understand that if they start to tear up a little bit, or maybe you could tell, you can sense that it's starting to break them, dude, you need to back out. You need to back off. You have to understand it's a fine line. And again, this is not to say that this doesn't happen with boys either. I'm just saying, like, the whole hormonal cycle with girls, and you're teaching that age, you have to be very, very cognizant of that. Okay. I've been to some of these things. Listen, I'm not gonna name drop there, because if they wanted me to, I would. But when I went to the game last week, and I watched some of these girls getting absolutely vilified by their head coach. I mean, to the point where they were in tears, by the point where they were confused on a court and they didn't know what to do. And I'm thinking, yo, man, you need to back up. Like, you're already doing them wrong. They're already now you shot your entire psyche out for that entire game. So you have to understand the mental part of this. You have to understand your mental part of this. My man Nikki says, just hug your kids, man, because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Goddamn right. Absolutely. Yeah, and it's not. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. So it's hard to not want to love these kids. And that's why I say if you're a coach, if you get into coaching, you gotta love the kids, man. You don't have to love the sport, you gotta love the kids. You can learn the sport. You can be passionate about the sport, but at the same time, you gotta love the kids, man. You gotta love them. And you have to say that, a lot of people say how many kids you have. And in essence, yeah, I have three, but technically I have 25, right? Because I got a soccer team of 22 that at the same time I treat them like my own. Like, and that's the thing. I don't get different. And I think that as a coach, in the youth level, you have to put that out there. First thing I would do is talk to new parents and say, listen, the way I treat these kids is the way I treat my own. I don't treat these kids differently on the field as I would treat them differently at home. No, this is all one. This is all one. This is what you get. This is what you get. And, am I not listen? I'm not going to vilify somebody, but guess what? When I know that you should be doing something that you're not, I'm gonna get all up in your ass and make sure you do it because you're only you're only hurting yourself. You're only hurting yourself. And I'm a very, very big proponent in education. Um, and I say this wholeheartedly, man. Like, and I tell my kids this, and I continue to tell them, like, I love when Jalen. If anybody followed the Jalen Brunson story, I love how hard Rick was on Jalen. And if you go back and you watch how, Temple, obviously Temple's fine as Rick Bronson, right? You go back and watch how hard he was on Jalen. But the best thing, about it was the options they gave him. And they said to Jalen, they said, you can choose three. You watch it. It's a clip. It's a great clip. He says, you have three things. You get to choose two out of the three. You could choose basketball, you could choose school, or your social life. You get two out of three. What are you going to do? And obviously, the point was to pick school and sports. And you have no social life. There's nothing wrong with that. You'll have plenty of time to have that social life. You'll find time to have a social life. Now, I am a big proponent of kids have to get out. They have to be together. They have to have some kind of social interaction, 100%. But the funny thing is, I will tell you this, which is always good. I used to tell my kids, when we start getting a little older, I used to sign them up every winter. It didn't happen this year, but every winter I used to sign them up for a Friday night, late night, Friday night soccer league. And they used to be like, Coach, we got games at 9 o'clock. Yep, because now you're mine. You can't get in trouble. So guess what? So now I screwed you over already for your Friday night. So now I can keep you safe. And hopefully you're working and you got to work Saturday so I can keep you safe there too. So now I did my job, right? Like I said, again, I say keep you safe because it's a crazy world out there, man. It's a crazy world. And I feel very responsible for a lot of the kids that I coach. Okay, always, all the kids that I coach. So, and again, I would treat my kids the same way. So I think that's, you really, really have to watch when you get between, coaching girls and boys. They're two completely different animals. They really are. And you have to understand, you have to look at it, you have to have that mindset. And you have to know when ease up, you have to know when to push, and you have to know when to ease up. So, in closing, like I said, I want to hop on here from time to time until the debut of April 8th comes, and we really get this rolling with guests and storylines and newsletters and mailbag sessions, so where you guys can reach out and let me know stories that you want to talk about. Maybe you don't want to be heard, maybe, which is fine. Maybe you don't want to say anything about, which is fine. I want this to be a no judgment zone. I want this to be an area to where everybody has a voice. Okay, everybody has a voice. This is a digital media platform. You have a voice and you are allowed to use it. Now, I will not sit here and vilify somebody and tag them based off something that didn't happen. I will 100% call you out if it did happen. Okay. If it did happen, my man Nick, he says, listen, Nick, like I said, I want to add as much as possible. We're going to have, we're going to have a podcast. We're going to have a video cast. So I've already decided it. Sometimes each week you may get two pieces. Maybe you only get one. I would really like, the interviews that I do. I would love them to be on video. And again, here's the best part, and I didn't drop it yet because I've been busy. But I interviewed a great TV reporter uh, on Tuesday, yesterday. Her name is Sierra Clark. She works for THV 11 in Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas. She covers the Razorbacks. And here's a young girl who she's in her 20s, doing her thing. And we talked about youth sports, we talked about high school sports, we talked about the NCAA's with Caitlin Clark, and we talked about Kobe Bryant, and we also talked about her trials and tribulations of getting to where she is, and just to hear that story, I think will be great for everybody. Now, that's not going to be a part that is part of our uh Blue Coats Beat interview series for the Delaware Blue Coats, which we also have. Again, make sure you get on Apple, wherever your podcasts are. If you want to do me a favor, like I say this all the time, if you want to do me a huge favor and support before this show even starts, go to the Blue Coats Beat. And you can find that anywhere you get your podcast from. And make sure you subscribe and check it out. I wouldn't steer you wrong. We have some fantastic interviews. We had Sonny Hill, we had Sharif Abdur Rahim, we had Sweet Lou Dunbar, the Globetrotters. I just had Sierra Clark. Coming up, Jermaine Jones, Yuki Washington. Who else do we have coming up? Mark Jackson. Lot of people coming up, man, telling stories, and which is great, and that's what we do. A lot of stories from big people about their rise and what they've gone through, and that's on the blue coat side, right? So the projection is to get those people on here as well, telling these stories, and making people understand that you have a voice and it is okay. So again, Tony Cotillo right here, youth sports and open dialogue. Just want to drop in real quick. It's tryout season. Just do me a favor, like I've said, take it in stride, right? You're all great, no matter no matter what anybody tells you. Okay, no matter how many people tell you they can't develop you, or maybe this team isn't for you. Listen, don't let it define you. Continue to move on, because I guarantee you'll find a home somewhere. May not be the same sport, may not be the same city, but it'll be somewhere where they love you back, and it'll be the best feeling in the world. And and every occurrence that you had up to that will just be a stepping stone. It will just be a stepping stone. It will make you stronger. It will make you more resilient. And goddamn, man, it's going to bring your smiles out second to none. So again, Tony Cotillo, U Sports Open Dialogue. That is not the name yet. We haven't got there yet. We're getting there. I predict in about a week we'll have the name. So I'm looking forward to that. My man Nick, thanks for tuning in. Adam, thanks for tuning in. Everybody for tuning in. Get in the comments again. Illinois Supreme Court upholds the rights of athletes with disabilities. I want this to be a no judgment zone. I put the link inside. I will make sure it's on Facebook when I get off air here. Again, talk about it, be about it. I'm curious. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great story. I applaud the effort, and I want to hear what you think, the audience as well. So everybody, as like I always say, stay safe, stay healthy. I will catch you back here next time.